that piece of information that you were in fact telling our viewers that the United States has designated Iran as a state sponsor of wrongful detention. So now the US Department of State has said, and I quote here, when the Iranian regime seized power 47 years ago, Ayatollah Khomeini consolidated his control of power by endorsing the hostage taking of US embassy staff. For decades, Iran has continued to cruelly detain innocent Americans as well as citizens of other nations to use as a political leverage against other states. This aberrant practice must end. President Trump issued an executive order to protect US nationals from wrongful detention abroad last fall, and Congress subsequently enacted the Countering Wrongful Detention Act of 2025, authorizing the department to designate Iran as a state sponsor of wrongful detention. If Iran does not stop, we will be forced to consider additional measures, including a potential geographic travel restriction on the use of US passports to, through, or from Iran. The Iranian regime must stop taking hostages and release all Americans unjustly detained in Iran. Steps that could end this designation and associated actions. We encourage it to do so. So Arzu, like you were rightly pointing out, now that Iran has been designated as a state sponsor of wrongful detention, we already know that there may have been some American citizens who are in Iranian custody who have been wrongfully detained. That is what America wants. They want Iran to release all the American citizens so that in fact this designation can then be lifted.
Well, yes, and if we see, the US is accusing Iran of long-standing pattern of detaining Americans and other foreign nationals as political leverages, and Rubio's statements call on all the US citizens in Iran to leave immediately and says no Americans should travel to Iran for any reason. And also, they want Iran to release all those detained Americans, immediately. There are threats also that has been given, and the US warned it could impose additional measures, as I earlier mentioned, such as a restriction on the use of US passport for travel, to or through Iran if the situation doesn't change. And the US government is also urging immediate departure from Iran for the US citizen. It reflects a safety warning and diplomatic acceleration. There is we can clearly see that this type of statement is being given. In fact, Donald Trump is also giving a lot of statements against Iran. So definitely there is an acceleration that could clearly be seen, and this is a huge statement that is coming in, and from the U.S. Secretary, in which the U.S. formally designates the Islamic Republic of Iran as a state sponsor of wrongful detention. Yes.
Right, Arzu. Please do stay on with us. We have another input on this. U.S. Press